This instructional video provides a step-by-step guide on how to install, set up, or host an FTP server on a Windows PC without the need for third-party software. The tutorial utilizes the built-in FTP services that are available in all versions of Windows. Once the FTP server is operational on your PC, you can access your files using an FTP client on another computer or mobile device. Before beginning the setup process, ensure that the computer acting as the FTP server has a locally assigned static IP address. This can be accomplished by accessing the Network Connections page, right-clicking on the active network adapter, clicking on Status, and then selecting Details. To make the IP address permanent, note it down, click on Properties, and enter the IP address under Internet Protocol version 4. Save the settings by clicking OK. Next, the tutorial covers the installation of FTP software by activating FTP services from the Windows Features page. This involves navigating to the Internet Information Services section, expanding it, and checking the boxes for FTP Server, FTP Extensibility, FTP Service, and Web Management Tools. After clicking OK, the necessary software is installed. Following the installation, the tutorial proceeds to configure the FTP server. The first step is to create a folder that will contain all the files intended for sharing. Ensure that all relevant files are moved into this designated folder. To set up an FTP site, open the Internet Information Services (IIS) Manager, right-click on the computer's name, and select the Add FTP Site option. Provide a short descriptive name for the server, choose the content directory, the previously created folder, and enter the static IP address assigned to the PC. Keep the default FTP port, 21, check the box for starting the FTP site automatically, and select the appropriate options for SSL and authentication. The tutorial recommends checking the basic option for authentication, which requires FTP clients to log in with an account. However, users can choose the anonymous option if they want to allow logins without a username and password. It also guides users in specifying who can connect to the FTP server, either all users or specific ones. Upon completion, the FTP server goes online whenever the computer is on and connected to the network. To create an FTP user, the tutorial suggests adding a local user account to the PC and provides steps for username and password setup. Access to the FTP directory for the user is granted by adjusting security settings. The tutorial notes that Windows Firewall may block FTP connections by default, so users need to manually allow the service through the firewall settings. This involves selecting the FTP server for both private and public access. If FTP server access issues persist, the tutorial suggests disabling Windows Firewall completely. For users accessing the FTP server from a Windows computer, installing additional FTP client software is not necessary, as Windows File Explorer has a built-in option for connecting to an FTP server. To demonstrate connecting to the FTP server, the tutorial guides users through the process using File Explorer. It also mentions the option to use dedicated FTP client software like FileZilla or CyberDuck. Accessing the FTP server from an Android phone is covered by recommending the installation of an FTP client app from the Play Store.